Hello, this is Robert, and this is the third video on working with arrays. In part 2, we set up this find_min function right here, and we passed an array of integers to find min, and the number of locations used in the array was specified by count, and so we used count as our loop limit right there. Okay, so find min tells us the minimum value from the array. Sometimes we would like to know both the minimum value and the minimum index, where we found the minimum value. Okay, so let's modify find min so that it tells us both the minimum value and the minimum index. So right now this is a value returning function. If we would like a function to return more than one value, we should convert it to a void function and then use reference parameters. So let's change this int to a void, and then we'll add two new reference parameters. Right now, minval is a local variable, but what we want to do is we want to make minval a formal parameter up here. So let's go ahead and say that minval is an integer reference. So now we have minval as a reference that we're going to pass in. Since I have it as a formal parameter now, that means I should not have a local version. So I'll get rid of the declaration right there. Okay. The other thing we need to know or pass back, the other thing we need to pass back to the calling function is the minimum index. So let's create another reference parameter right here, min index. Okay, so now we can pass back through these references the minimum value and the minimum index. All right, so we went over this in the last video, but we're going to set the minimum value equal to the first value in the array. So that's our assumption. And then if we find any other values in the array that might be less than minimum value, we're going to replace minimum value with that value that we found. Okay, so we need to make another assumption here. The other assumption that we need to make is that the minimum index is at 0, right? So we're assuming that the minimum value is the first value in the array, which means that the minimum index is at location 0. Then what we need to do is update minimum index if we find a new minimum value. So let's go ahead and put in min index equals I if this is true. So if this is true, we found a new minimum value and we found it at location I. The last thing we need to do to update this function is to get rid of our return value. Void functions can't return values, so I need to get rid of that right there. I could go ahead and get rid of the return statement, but it doesn't hurt anything to leave it there. So now we've updated our find min function definition. Let's go ahead and update our description of it. So now find min will find the minimum value of an integer array and the index of the minimum. The arguments are the array to search, the number of elements used in the array, a reference return parameter for minimum value, and a return reference for the minimum index. Okay, so now our description fits what the function is actually doing here. Okay, so let's go ahead and have our prototype match our header. So all I have to do is copy the header, go up here to the prototype and replace the old version with the new version, and then add a semicolon on at the end. So now the prototype matches the header. The last thing I need to do to get rid of the syntax errors is I need to have the call match the signature of the header here. So I need to add 2 more arguments to my call, and I have to get rid of the return value here. This is a void function, so I can't return min_val. So we'll go ahead and get rid of that. And then we'll go ahead and place min_val as our third argument right there. So min_val will become our reference parameter. Then we also need a minimum index. So let's go up to the top of main and create a new variable for that. So I have min_val, number, index count, and min_loc. Let's go ahead and use min_loc, but we'll call it min_index right there. Okay, so now we have this as our reference actual parameter, and this as our second actual reference parameter, or actually our fourth. Okay, so min_val is going to be our third reference parameter, and then min_index will go right there. So now the call matches the function definition. We don't have this information in the output yet, so let's go ahead and update our cout statement here. And we'll say the minimum value in the array is min_val, and it is at index min_index. Now that I'm using reference parameters, remember that whatever I do to min_val actually changes the actual parameter. It's just coincidence that they have the same name. I don't have to name these the same, but I did, just by coincidence. So whatever I do to min_index here, so min_index is changed to I, that means that the actual parameter will actually be changed. Remember that reference parameters share one memory location. So this formal parameter shares the memory location of this actual parameter right there. Count and index count, those are index count is being passed by value. So there's a separate memory location for index count and count right there, because those are passed by value. We have 2 reference parameters right here that we want to be able to change, and so they appear on the left side of an assignment statement right there. But it would be a mistake to change the array. All we want to do is find the minimum, and we want to make sure we don't change the array in this function. So we can protect the array from being changed by placing the keyword const in front of it. So that will guard against making any changes to the array. I've added the keyword const to the header, so let's go up here and change the prototype to match. So I want a constant reference parameter for the array. Remember that whenever you pass an array to a function, it is always by reference. So that is a reference to my numbers, because I'm passing my numbers as the first argument. So anything I do to the array will actually be reflected in my numbers. We want to guard against that, so we put const in front of it right there. Okay, we've made a bunch of changes to our function, and all of the syntax errors are gone, but we may have a semantic error in our code. So let's run it and see what we get. Okay, so what number would I like to add to the array? I'll just add a few numbers here. 8, yes, 3, yes. So I now have 2 numbers. I'll add another value. How about 11? And then how about 2? So, well, now let's do 6 right there. Okay, so the values that I've added are 8, 3, 11, and 6. So 3 should be the minimum value, and it is at index 1. So that's what we should get for our output. So let me hit return right there. There are now 4 numbers in the array. No, I don't want to add another one. So the minimum value in the array is 3, and it is at index 1. So 3 was the second number that I added, and so it was added at index location 1. 8 was added at index location 0, 3 at 1, 11 at 2, and 6 at 3 right there. Okay, so it looks like our code is working correctly. So in this video, we took a look at how to modify a value returning function to a function that uses references to return values. And we did that because we needed to return more than one value. So this find_min function returns both the minimum value and the minimum index. Okay, thanks.